Hi, I'm Jeff.
And I'm Will from the Big Gay Fiction Podcast.
So we had such a good time talking to Devon McCormack and Riley Hart that we've got a bit of a bonus episode here for you. 15 more minutes of our interview with them, in which we talk about kind of the difference between their co-writing and solo projects, why they go self-publishing, the amazing time they had writing the book, owning it, and this whole surprise book release strategy that they've got going on. So here's a look at that.
Where do you think the differences are in tone or feel between your individual books and what you do together?
You take that.
I think you both have to.
No, first. No, I'm curious what you're going to say.
I don't know. I'm very curious. I think I'm more willing to. It's very interesting. I do not go as like dirty necessarily. And dirty might not even be the right word. I won't get as like. I don't know how to say it. It's good. I don't get as like. Naughty isn't the word. Just like dirty. Like a lot of like my sex and like my stuff with my soul is kind of like. At times nasty is probably the best word to describe it. And I think I do clean it up a bit. But also because the tones are usually different of the books. Like, I don't feel it's right for those characters, like in the Metropolis series, to do some things. That's the other thing. Like, the books I write on my own are not necessarily the vibe. Like, Weight of the World is very dark, and there's, like, definitely, like, some dirty hot sex in that. And then, like, in the Metropolis series, I mean, certainly we can't say Working It was without some really dirty stuff, but I did fight that a little bit. But even that one, I feel like those books are much more comedic than I normally take to my own.
And I agree. I think so too. Like when I mean, maybe because it's fun to write comedy with somebody else. I mean, when I look at my stuff, I'm more of a small town romance girl. I think on my own, and I tend to do bigger city, actually everything has been LA or Atlanta with you. And so, and I do think, I mean, outside of Weight of the World, I do have my guys are a little cockier with you. And,
which I love. And I do think she picks up on the fact that I really like the way that, like, well, you're just so good at it. So, like, that sort of combative, sort of like up for the challenge was perfect for it, because I feel like we've done so many books, and she, like, I feel like Travis was a really good cocky character in Metropolis, and I kind of wanted to kind of just
like up another
and like with another character, like, because Gary was kind of like he was more timid, he was more like he wasn't at that level yet, and he kind of had to grow into the person who could kind of be there to challenge Travis. Whereas in Alpha Challenge, it was kind of fun because they were both like busting each other's balls the whole time, and that was exciting. I felt like
it was.
To do.
But I think the funny thing is I think that because he is such an outgoing, fun person and funny all of the time, and my books don't typically have as much humor on my own, that I don't think people realize that I can be funny. And so they think like all the funny stuff is you a lot of the time.
And it's like characters based on like she'll do like something really clever, like a witty joke,
and they'll think it's like his life, and I'm like, no, I promise I thought that on my own. I can be funny too.
But your MF is funny. We talked about
No,
this.
and I think that is my tone as my MF stuff different. Earlier as Naire. But I think if those readers had read it, they would recognize my voice in it.
Because I think I never even thought about it, because I read so much of your MF that it just seemed like, oh, this is how she writes. So
it's just a funny, thing.
But we do know, and we notice things about each other's like styles that even I think as reading our stuff, just solo stuff, that we notice more when we're writing together. That we're like, she likes doing that, or and that's fun.
Yeah.
Now you've talked about some of the YA, and you've published through Harmony, a small press, but the stuff that you do together and individually, you self-publish. What did you just automatically know right away that we're going to do this all ourselves, or especially maybe even with Weight of the World, did you want to take it to a publisher?
You take this question, because this is more about where you were at in your career, and your because I was self-publishing, and I was going to self-publish, but I feel like at the time when we were doing that, I was like coming out of Harmony Inc. I self-published like Cheating Bastard, Lying Bastard, but I feel like you had more expertise that I kind of learned from.
It felt right, I think. I mean, for what we were writing. I think where we were both at, you know, we love. I mean, it's great. I love publishers. I've done big press, small press, church. You know, I've done it all. And so, but I love the freedom in self-publishing. And I think that sometimes, especially even when you look at Weight of the World, because you know, we wouldn't have wanted to change anything in that story. And I think that sometimes, you know, you don't always have that freedom, and with different topics and stuff like that, you know, we just knew that was the right decision for that story.
And nowadays, what I see a lot with self-publishing that I love that makes it difficult is that you're like, when you're self-publisher, you can choose your A-team. You can choose the editor you know is going to do it right. You can get the copy editor that you know is going to like clean it up the way you want. You can get all the proof. If you want extra proofers, you can grab some extra proofers. You know, if you want a fabulous cover, then you go and you hunt that down. You're not waiting on just a company to send you and like be like, what do you think of these concepts that you didn't necessarily have a great amount of say, and you usually have a certain amount, but
so
you know.
basically we're control freaks. No.
I know, but I like the fact that you get to choose the things that represent this thing that you created that you're very proud of. So,
do you take on the task yourselves, or do you have people to like take on the task of producing the book while you guys go on to write the next?
Like editors and
just
something
the editors and stuff like that, but everything else.
Like covers were pretty hardcore.
But super picky.
We don't have the same tastes, which is nice because we will fight a lot about it. Not fight, but
it takes us forever.
I'll be like,
I'll find like the perfect image that's gorgeous, and he's like, what? And I'm like, what is wrong with you? Like, how do you not see how perfect this is? And then he does the same thing to me, exactly.
But when
usually
we do
I'm right.
But when we do find something, I feel like it's extra. Like we know it's right if we both like it.
Like owning it. Like
owning it.
That was the hardest one for us.
Impossible.
And like, I mean, and we even bought like 2 images that we didn't even use because we were like, no,
and it didn't work.
We just couldn't. And then like the second we saw, like we were both like,
that was so funny. I loved it. I adored it, but because of our taste, like I played it cool, and I was like, I kind of across this image. What do you think about that? And she was like, oh my god. I'm like, thank God.
Because then it was a different one, and I was like, I love him. He's really cute. Like, I loved it. And he's like, oh, well, there's this other. And then I was like, oh my god, no, the other one.
Right.
And that's how we came. And he was like, oh my god, I thought the same thing. And it was perfect. And
it was perfect.
That was Derek.
It was Derek.
He is Derek.
Yes, Derek. No. And that was an amazing book to write.
It was, yeah.
What made it amazing?
The characters.
Yeah. I mean,
Jackson was unexpected, I think, for a lot of people in a good way.
That was scary because everyone was so excited.
I don't think either of us were ready for that.
And they loved him so much, and we did not expect that. And then Jackson, no one knew him.
Yeah.
And so it's like, Jackson has to be really friggin' good because he's got to compete, or not compete, but like they need to fall in love with him the same way that they've fallen in love with Derek, and they need to think, that he deserves it. And so it was really scary and hard, and I love their dynamic. I love, the caretaker thing is just my thing, so I love that
and they were both they were both similar in so many ways, but different in the right places. It was just amazing. And they were like it really is there are those characters who just are like puzzle pieces, and you just see how easily they go together, and they just like right from the
get-go. I just love that he wanted Derek to know, like, dude, you're worth more, like, it's okay that you want to do, it's not that, but when we do this, we're going to do it because we both want to, and not because you just feel like you have to, and I think that showed Derek a lot, and I love that part of it,
I love that book a lot. I actually love all 3 of those books a lot, but especially Daddy Jackson and Derek. I think that it, well, not in traditional terms, it wasn't a slow burn, but the way he kept putting Derek
Yeah.
off.
Oh, and we
saying-
actually talked about that because at one
We
point
were
we
getting
were like,
nervous. We're like,
where are
people
we
are
at?
gonna be
You were
like,
it was a while. You
Like,
guys
no,
were waiting a
what?
while.
like I usually
You
like
know,
sex
and
on
we-
page 1, and I'm like, what are we
usually
doing?
don't, no, but it's usually early a lot, so it
Right,
was, and we're
exactly.
like,
Yeah.
people are going to be wondering what we were doing, but it was so right for them.
Yeah, exactly.
It was
you know?
right. It was right. And I wasn't even flinching, which was weird because I would like in a solo. I will typically be like,
And I was like,
page
we're
1,
at this many
sex.
thousand words, like, we need
Yeah.
to, you know.
But yeah, that felt really right when it did all come together.
That's really funny. Page 1 sex, because yesterday in Q&A, Reese Ward was like, page 1 dead body.
I agree with that. That's another good one.
Such a divergent course
Yeah.
there.
I think it's something that I think the two of you have seemed to have mastered is the surprise book release. Just one day you kind of show up on social media and it's like, boop, oh, we have a book out. And I was curious if it is as effortless as it seems, or is there a truckload of planning that goes into
Well, there has to be
something
planning.
that comes up.
Even
so
as something as
surprising.
simple, and I don't think a lot of people think about this is, you know, you don't want to come out when the hottest book in town is
true,
coming
yes,
out, like,
yeah.
and,
Yeah,
or you
so
don't,
there's always-
you know,
yeah.
and you don't want to be the jerk who comes out, you know, it's like, yeah, that's right, I screwed this person over today. You're like, no, like, but you just want to. I think you want it to also be kind of you're sensing like where everybody's at, and like you're like, okay, I think this is good. I've have this project I want to do in October. Like, what are we doing right now? When are we going to release? Like, because the one that came after Way of the World was a surprise release, and we did obviously Way of the World was a surprise release. And I was like, and the other part of it is how many surprises did you do before people aren't surprised? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
like-
I mean, so, yeah. So.
Well, I think it's something that's become a little bit more standard over time is when people who are self-publishing invest so much time and effort and energy into a book, they want to build up that release and make sure it seems like extra special. So they.
But that's what makes
That
it
doesn't
novel.
help.
That's what makes it a surprise novel is because there are so many people doing it at the same time.
Right,
That,
yeah.
and oftentimes I find I see something I like on Facebook. I'm like, oh, where do I buy it? Oh, it's not available for 2 months.
Exactly.
And then
you kind of forget,
and
you
the
know,
nature,
and
the
even
nature of
if you've been
Facebook hides
seeing-
posts
Yes.
that you don't necessarily see it again.
But yeah, and if you've been talking about it, I think sometimes for a month or seeing
Yeah.
the cover pop up or whatever,
Right.
then it doesn't feel as, oh my god, this is so exciting,
Yes.
I have to buy it right now, you know?
Whereas if I see like a cover come up that I like and a synopsis and it's like just up my alley, I'm like, I'm gonna one click that personally. So that's how I feel like I'm appealing to people like who think like me in that
Yeah.
regard, where I'm like that they're like, this is right in my alley. I want to buy this right now and read it tonight.
Because I came from traditional, and so I was nervous about that at
Yeah.
first. I'm thinking, I have to have a pre-order, I have to,
Yeah.
but it doesn't. Like, it can hurt you sometimes to do it that way. So.
Do you? What's the thought process between this book will be a surprise and this book's going to have the pre-order window and all the traditional trimmings of a book release?
I think for me, it's just whether I'm writing with him or not most of the time. I mean, I
We
haven't
didn't
really
do
done
with
any.
working it and owning
No,
it.
we
We
didn't do
told
surprise.
people about
well,
like
yeah,
those.
but
and-
even I haven't done any besides
Yeah.
this out unless I was working with you. So
Still Your Guy I didn't do a surprise release for. I did a lot of pre-promotion. I did a lot of like, this is it, and it's mainly because I can't surprise people again if I
Yeah.
never, you know.
I think it's just when something felt like the first one we did together because no one even knew
Yeah.
we were friends, and they were like,
No, that's
they were
right.
like, holy, like, who are these two together? And like, they have a book, so that was like
Right.
super exciting. And then Metropolis because it was like the first one, faking it was because it was a new idea. We did it, and then the others we didn't, and then when you look at Up for the Challenge, it wasn't a surprise release, but it was, we only announced it like 5 days
5
before it
days
came
before.
out, and nobody knew. Everyone thought we were writing the next
Like
Metropolis, so it was
which
something.
we kind of
so-
enjoyed because
yeah,
we kind
yeah.
of talked like
and then
we were
like
working
people,
on
yes,
it.
exactly.
No,
Like,
no,
and
that's
then
what
I'd be
we
like,
said.
my work in progress. Is
Yeah.
what I say, so that no.
And I'd be sitting there reading her post like, don't say anything to give it away.
Just makes you guys like Beyonce. Just boom.
I wish.
Right.
But it is a lot of fun. I feel like the excitement generated by a surprise, people just get, even like if you look at what happened with Gone Rogue, like
Yeah.
No one knew we were working with.
They're
and-
like, what is that?
Yeah,
You know?
and that's so cool
Yeah.
to be able to just see the kind of like everyone wants to be there and be like, what did you do? Like go like I gotta go check this out, and then we get to see that, and that's so much fun.
Yeah, because he was like, "Have you seen this?"
I'm like, what are they doing now? What is this?
A lot of people were saying that.
and on the cusp of GRL too, just to kind of throw it in
No,
there.
oh my
right
gosh,
at
we
the
were so
end.
busy. Like, we
Hindsight.
were so. No,
So
yeah,
many people
hindsight.
were busy.
That
That
probably
was a
wasn't
lot.
the best time to do it. We were going a little crazy. But, yeah, live and learn.
But I mean, it wasn't bad.
No,
but
of course not.
It was
Yeah.
like you get here and you're almost like, God, no one's even had a chance to crack a book and listen.
I know,
Like,
yeah.
For detailed show notes and the complete episode backlist, go to biggayfictionpodcast.com. New episodes are available every Monday on all major podcast distributors and YouTube. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.